Hello, everybody. I'm Jen Madrone, and today we're going to talk about the third eye. Now, the third eye is the sixth chakra, and it's located here, right between the brows. But it encompasses the pineal gland, which is a tiny little gland that's a little bit lower and towards the middle of our heads. And it is this area of our body and this third eye as we know it that often gets activated during our awakening process, during certain awakening experiences and throughout the egoic death process. And so it's something that we hear about a lot, just off and on, and we hear the term a lot, but we don't always, not everybody knows exactly what it is that we're talking about. And so we want to talk today a little bit about why it gets activated, what happens when it gets activated, and how we can work with it and use it in our process of growth and transformation. Because the third eye and the pineal gland are very powerful centers for us during the spiritual awakening process. As we move into the upper chakras, we move into the spiritual realms. And the third eye, the sixth chakra in particular, is related to vision, both inner and outer vision. It's related to intuition, psychic abilities like clairvoyance, and it's related to dreams. And so, this is why when we begin the awakening process or moving through it, we may begin to have visions that we never had before. We may begin to see things, both inner vision and outer vision may change and amplify. And we may have more active, vivid, and lucid dreams start to happen during this process. And other latent abilities such as psychic abilities and clairvoyance and numerous other abilities can awaken at this time because the pineal gland is becoming activated. And it becomes activated as higher frequencies of energy enter the body, which is exactly what is happening during the awakening process. We are downloading, we are processing higher frequencies that are coming into our bodies, which are causing the transformation that we're experiencing. And at the same time, it's activating our pineal gland. And the pineal gland is this little tiny gland that is made up of rods and cones, much like our eyes. And so it processes light, just like our eyes. And that's why it's called the third eye, because of that. And also it is related to vision. And I like to call it the first eye because the energy and information that hits the third eye and the pineal gland is actually processed faster than the information that hits our physical eyes. And so really it's our first eye. And so the pineal gland processes and creates light, which is why when we're in meditation or having a spiritual experience, a metaphysical experience, why we often see lights in our inner vision, because that is the light being produced by the activated pineal gland. And so it's really quite an incredible little tiny gland in our body. And it also produces melatonin, and that melatonin changes chemistry in accordance to the higher frequency energies that come in. And so the change in the melatonin, the chemical change, is what produces these mystical experiences. So the higher the frequency of energy, the bigger the change in the melatonin, and so the more profound the mystical experiences that we will have, that we will experience. And one of the highest levels of melatonin transformation is DMT. So we can produce our own DMT when high enough frequency energies come into the body, and that's when we have the really intense metaphysical experiences. And so this is really quite a complicated, involved physical, chemical, and mystical processing place in our body. And it's really powerful. But the reason that it has remained asleep until the awakening experience is because it's been blocked, because we have blocked it with our thoughts, with our minds. We've shut it down because at some point in our life, we began to create beliefs that are counterproductive to the third eye. We told ourselves that these kind of mystical experiences weren't real, they weren't important, and we believed the illusions that our culture and our humanity really are based on. And illusions are the biggest enemy of the third eye. They block the third eye, they block the intuition because they're false, because they're illusions. And any belief that you have that you're holding tightly to is usually an illusion. And as we move through the awakening process, that's what we're doing, is we're removing and dismantling and dissecting those illusions. We're peeling them back. And some of those illusions get busted very, very quickly when we have an awakening experience. We see into other dimensions. We see past our physical bodies, and this illusion of our identity, this illusion of this 3D world gets busted wide open, and then that exposes, that activates our pineal gland. And so we begin to have these third eye experiences. And they can be kind of disturbing at first. They can be a little bit scary if we don't know what's going on. We can feel kind of crazy when we start to see things that we didn't see before and that other people can't see, or that we have visions, or even very active dreams that tell us things that maybe we don't really want to hear. And so when this third eye gets activated, it can be a little disruptive, but it can also be really fun and exciting and interesting. But we have to remember that this is part of the process of transformation. Instead of getting distracted by the experiences, really going deeply into them and asking what they are here to teach us and show us, and how they can help us heal and transform. Because it's really, this can be a really powerful and profound part of the experience. So some ways to work with the third eye. So we hear a lot on, all over the internet. They talk about decalcifying your pineal gland, and it's become very vogue to talk about it. I was actually at the health food store in Oregon the other day, and this guy just randomly started talking to me, and then he was a little interesting, and he just stopped and stared at me, and he said, "You've been watching about the pineal on YouTube, haven't you?" And I just thought that was great. It was just really exemplified, this trend to talk about the pineal gland, and it's exciting, but there's definitely a lot of misinformation, as always, or just pieces of information. So it's good to do the research and get the whole story, and also to experiment with yourself. So through meditation, we can work with bringing in higher levels of energy to activate that pineal gland, and doing the inner work of clearing the illusions is really a potent way. And it may not be as glamorous or sound like a quick fix, like some of the things they're prescribing on the YouTube for the pineal, but peeling away the illusions is what is going to give you a clear and open third eye and access to your intuition. And this is really the deep work at looking at the old programs, at looking at the ego and the ways that it is still kind of running the show, and peeling those away, layer by layer by layer, dissecting and going into the really deep beliefs and old programs that keep you stuck. And this is how you will clear that third eye and move the illusions away so that we can see the reality of who we are and what this life is all about. And so that is the work that I do in the program that I teach, is really going deep into those illusions, how they personally relate to you, and how we can move those out, and so that you can clearly see who you are and what your authentic nature is. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, please private message me and let me know, and we can chat on the phone. And until then, one little tip. So there's lots of things you can do to decalcify the pineal gland, including diet, meditation for sure. Good water is important. But a really simple one is closing your curtains and sleeping in a dark room at night. Because the pineal develops the melatonin in your body, or produces melatonin in your body, we need the cycles of dark and light to produce that melatonin. And so making sure you unplug any computers or lights that are in your room, and close the curtains, and sleeping in a very dark room so that you have those cycles of dark and light. That's going to help with melatonin production. That's going to help you sleep better and dream better, and it's also going to help clear that pineal gland. So if you have any questions, just leave them here in the comments, and sending massive love to you all, and I'll see you guys in the Facebook group. Thanks for listening.